Well, hello there. This is Pravin. In this video, I'll be talking about RRSP. What is RRSP? The benefits of RRSP, the contribution limit, and the tax deductions because of it. RRSP stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan. In my previous video on how income tax works in Canada, I briefly talked about RRSP and also touched upon things like taxable income, tax brackets, and tax deductions. I recommend that you watch that video first so that it will give you better understanding of what we'll be talking about today. RRSP is a long-term investment plan whereby Canadians are encouraged to save for their retirement. It is a tax deferral plan. To put it simply, you contribute into the plan, use your contribution to reduce your taxable income, and let your investment grow tax-free until you withdraw. In other words, you reduce your taxable income when you are working and in higher bracket, and pay less tax when you retire and are in lower tax bracket. Investment incomes such as interest, dividends, and capital gains within RRSP are tax sheltered, whereas they are not when outside RRSP. So who can open an RRSP account? Anyone living in Canada and has earned income can do so in the following year. There is no minimum age required for this. However, when a person turns 71, that entitlement disappears. By starting early and making regular contributions to your RRSP, you will build up a retirement portfolio which you can rely on in your golden years. So how and where do you open an RRSP account? You can open an RRSP account at a bank, a financial company, credit union, trust or insurance company, or even with your employer. You can have more than one RRSP account. You can also contribute to a spousal RRSP which is set up in your spouse's name, and you can make contributions and receive tax deductions. There are some specific rules around withdrawals from spousal RRSP which you should be aware of. How much can you contribute? The easiest way to find it out is to have a look at your RRSP section at the bottom of your notice of assessment, or you can log into your CRA account and find this out. You can also calculate your contribution room yourself. It is, in most cases, 18% of your previous year's earned income. Now I said in most cases because there are situations where this room might be less than what I just mentioned. Examples of earned income are your gross employment income, net rental income, and net business income. But the CRA sets a cap on the contribution room. You cannot contribute into your plan any amount you feel like because you have extra money. For the year 2019, that cap is $26,500, and for the year 2020, it is $27,230. To illustrate this, if your earned income in 2019 was say $70,000, 18% of this would be $12,600. But what happens if your earned income was $180,000? 18% of $180,000 would be $32,400, and this would exceed the cap. So your room would be only $26,500. Next question is, what happens if you exceed your contribution limit? I'll talk about it a little later in this discussion. As I mentioned, there are situations where your contribution room would be lower than 18% of the earned income. For example, the CRA will reduce the amount of your contribution room by what is known as pension adjustment amount if your employer or you are contributing to a pension plan. In a similar way, if your employer is contributing to RRSP for you, your contribution room will be reduced as well. If you have both a regular RRSP and a spousal RRSP, the deduction limit is the maximum amount you can contribute to all your accounts combined. Now here is an interesting part. You do not have to claim your contribution in the year you make it. You can choose to claim only a part of it or even none at all. This can be beneficial to you if you think in a future year you might be in a higher bracket. By using this unused contribution in a future year, you might place yourself in a lower tax bracket. This unused contribution room can be carried forward indefinitely. If you did not deduct all your contributions in the year you make, you have two options. You can leave the unused contribution in the plan, or you can withdraw it. As an example, let us say your earned income in 2019 was $60,000 before taxes. You have no pension plan at your place of work. 18% of $60,000 would be $10,800. So your deduction limit would be $10,800. Since there is no pension adjustment, your deduction limit stays at $10,800. Assume you contribute $7,000 to your RRSP. You will have $3,800 of unused contribution room to carry forward. Let us say in 2020, your deductible limit comes to $11,000. You will be able to contribute $11,000 plus $3,800, which was the carry forward, equal to $14,800 in 2020. Many people get confused between contribution room and deduction limit. As I mentioned earlier, your deduction limit is based on your previous year's earned income. If you are contributing the full deduction limit to your plan, chances are the deduction limit and the contribution room would be the same. But let us say you contribute less than your deduction limit in a given year. You will have some unused contribution room left over. The following year, your contribution room would be the unused contribution room carried over from past year plus the new deduction limit you will get from the previous year. Now this is in general, because as I mentioned earlier, you may have pension adjustment or other factors that may reduce your contribution room. Now we will come to the subject of over contribution. Your contribution room is the maximum you can contribute to your plan. If you go over the limit, you will be charged interest on the excess amount. Generally, you have to pay an interest of 1% per month or 12% annually on excess contributions that exceed your RRSP deduction limit by more than $2,000 until you withdraw that excess contribution. But you will not be able to claim the $2,000 to reduce your tax. Example, if your contribution limit was say $15,000 and you contributed $20,000, you will not be penalized on the first $2,000, but you will not be able to claim that $2,000 to reduce your taxable income as well. On the remaining $3,000, you will be charged 1% per month or $30 until you withdraw that amount. So how does RRSP benefit you? Let us say at the age of 30, you deposit $10,000 into your plan. At the marginal rate of 15%, you will receive a refund of 15% of $10,000, which is $1,500 in the following year. You deposit this $1,500 into the plan again. Let us say your average rate of return on your investment in the RRSP is 5%. In order that we don't get overexcited, I'm using a very conservative figure of 5% only. Yours may be a little different. Could be higher, could be a little lower. By the time you are 65, with the power of compounding interest, that $10,000 will grow to $55,160.15. The $1,500 will grow to $7,880.02. The total comes to $63,040.17. Now this is for one-time contribution only. Imagine what can happen if you made regular contributions every year. The money you save in taxes can be used to invest in stocks, bonds, REITs, GICs, ETFs and mutual funds and earn tax-sheltered growth. You could also have a savings account within your RRSP, but that doesn't fetch much interest. Also, the growth like dividends, interest and capital gains are tax sheltered when within your plan, but will be taxed if they are outside the plan. Now let us talk about withdrawal from RRSP. You can make a withdrawal from a plan at any time you wish, But remember, any withdrawal is considered income and you'll be taxed on it. Also, the RRSP issuer will hold back a certain percentage of it as tax and forward it to CRA. The rate of withholding of tax is as follows. Up to $5,000 it is 10%. Between $5,001 and $15,000 it is 20%. And more than $15,000 it is 30%. Your RRSP issuer will not hold back any tax if the amount is going straight into a RIF or is used to purchase an annuity. There are two scenarios under which a withdrawal from RRSP is not taxed, and they are when you participate in one of the following two programs: the Home Buyers Plan or HBP or the Lifelong Learning Plan LLP. The HBP is a program that allows you to withdraw money from your RRSP to buy or build a qualifying home for yourself or for a related person with a disability. You do not pay tax on the amount you withdraw under this plan, but you have to repay into the plan within 15 years the amount you withdraw. Your repayment period starts the second year after the year when you first make the withdrawal. For example, if you make a withdrawal in the year 2019, your first year of repayment will be 2021. The Lifelong Learning Plan allows you to withdraw funds from RRSP to finance full-time training or education for yourself, your spouse, or your common law partner. Repayments into your RRSP is spread out over 10 years. Now let us talk about what happens when you turn 71. You can contribute into your plan in the year you turn 71, but by December 31st of that year, you must collapse your plan. You have one of the following three options: cash it out, but you'll pay a hefty tax bill, or convert to a RIF, or purchase an annuity. I will talk about RIF and annuity in another video. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave that in the comments section below, and I'll be more than happy to answer that for you. My next video will be on TFSA, so watch out. Also, if you think this video was useful, do not forget to like and subscribe, because that will encourage me to bring more videos to you. Thank you.